The sun was setting over Medellin, casting long shadows over the sprawling estate of Javier El Toro Salgado, one of the most feared drug lords in South America. Wealth and power dripped from his every move, and his empire was built on a foundation of blood and illicit trade. Yet, for all his dominance, there was one thing he could not possess: Isabel Marquez. Isabel was a striking beauty, known for her intelligence and independence. She had returned to Colombia after completing her studies in Madrid, eager to start her career as a journalist. What she hadn't anticipated was that her work would lead her to cross paths with the infamous El Toro. Her first encounter with him was at an exclusive charity gala, one of the many high society events Salgado used to launder his dirty money. She had been invited as a guest of a friend, unaware that the man funding the event was the most dangerous criminal in the country. When she turned and locked eyes with him, a cold shiver ran down her spine. He was tall, with dark, piercing eyes that seemed to see straight through her. That night, Salgado pursued her relentlessly, offering drinks, compliments, and eventually, a personal invitation to an exclusive gathering at his private estate. Isabel, sensing the danger, declined politely. But her refusal only fueled his obsession. Over the following weeks, she received lavish gifts, diamond necklaces, designer dresses, even a brand new car. Each was returned without a second thought. It wasn't just that she had no interest in him, she despised everything he represented. Then, one evening, Isabel was walking home from her office when a black SUV pulled up beside her. Before she could react, two masked men grabbed her and forced her inside. A cloth was pressed to her face, and the world faded to black. She woke up in a luxurious bedroom, its floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking a pristine private beach. The sound of waves crashing against the shore did little to calm her terror. The door opened, and there he stood, Salgado, dressed in an expensive linen shirt, a knowing smirk on his face. "You left me no choice, mi reina," he said smoothly. "I have given you everything, and you rejected me. Now you are mine." Isabel felt the bile rise in her throat. "You can't keep me here forever," she spat. "People will look for me." He chuckled, stepping closer. "You underestimate my reach, my love. No one will find you unless I wish it. And in time, you will come to see that we are meant to be." Days turned into weeks. Isabel was given everything she could want, except freedom. The estate was heavily guarded, and every window, though offering breathtaking views, was reinforced to ensure escape was impossible. Salgado lavished her with gifts and promises of a life of luxury, but she refused to bend. Determined to escape, Isabel began studying the guards' routines, looking for any weaknesses. She noticed that one of them, a young man named Diego, seemed to pity her. She started talking to him whenever she could, planting seeds of doubt about his employer's morality. One night, as a storm raged outside, Diego slipped her a note: "Be ready at midnight." Her heart pounded as she feigned compliance with her captor, listening to his grandiose plans of their future together. When the clock struck midnight, she crept to the designated spot where Diego waited. He had stolen a key and led her through a maze of hallways, past slumbering guards, and finally to a service entrance. Just as freedom was within reach, the alarm sounded. Salgado burst onto the scene, fury distorting his face. "You betray me! After all I have done for you!" he roared at Diego. Isabel saw her chance. She grabbed a knife from a nearby table and lunged at Salgado, slashing his arm before bolting out the door. Diego followed, and they ran into the jungle, bullets whizzing past them. The rain poured down, making their escape even more treacherous. For hours they ran until they reached a hidden road, where Diego had arranged for a contact to pick them up. Just as they thought they were safe, headlights appeared in the distance. It was Salgado's men. A gunfight erupted. Diego was hit but managed to fire back, taking down two of Salgado's men before the police, tipped off by Diego's contact, arrived in helicopters. The chaos allowed Isabel to escape into the arms of law enforcement. Salgado was arrested, his empire crumbling around him. Isabel testified against him, ensuring he would spend the rest of his life behind bars. Diego, though injured, survived and went into witness protection. Years later, Isabel published a book detailing her ordeal, becoming an advocate for victims of cartel violence. She would always bear the scars of her captivity, but she refused to let them define her. She had survived the grip of a monster, and in doing so, she had won her freedom on her own terms. Despite Salgado's imprisonment, his reach still cast a long shadow. From his prison cell, he orchestrated a series of attacks against those who had betrayed him. Diego, living under a new identity, narrowly escaped an assassination attempt, forcing him to relocate again. Meanwhile, Isabel found herself living in constant fear. Anonymous threats appeared in her mailbox, and suspicious cars lingered outside her home. The authorities assured her that Salgado had no more power, but she knew better. His network was vast, and loyalty in the cartel world was often stronger than steel. Determined not to be silenced, Isabel doubled down on her advocacy, using her voice to expose cartel corruption. She partnered with law enforcement and human rights groups, shining a spotlight on the dark underbelly of organized crime. Her bravery inspired others to come forward, leading to the arrest of several of Salgado's top lieutenants. But she knew the war was far from over. Salgado's influence might have been weakened, but as long as power and greed ruled the underworld, the fight for justice would never truly end. And so, with her past still haunting her, Isabel stepped forward into the unknown, refusing to let fear dictate her fate. She had survived once, and she would continue to fight, no matter the cost.